Jon Jones has officially announced that he's coming out of retirement. You heard that right. Just a week after declaring he was done with the sport, Jones shocked fans again by revealing that he's re-entered the drug testing pool, which all but confirms his return to active competition. At first, this back and forth might seem bizarre, but when you look closer at what's been happening lately, it starts to add up. Many believe his sudden retirement was less about the fight game and more about personal issues, specifically his recent hit-and-run incident, which made headlines and stirred controversy. Even Dana White chimed in shortly after, saying that Jon's exit wasn't about avoiding Tom Aspinall, further hinting that it had nothing to do with fear or pressure. Now, with those legal issues seemingly behind him, Jones appears to be flipping the switch again, ready to step back into the chaos. But here's the twist: who does he fight? That's still unknown. However, don't be surprised if he's eyeing Aspinall. It almost feels like Jones operates on his own code, and maybe, just maybe, the idea of walking into the cage and taking the belt from Aspinall means more to him than simply defending his own title. Maybe that's the motivation he needed to come back. With Jones, nothing is ever simple, but one thing is clear: the heavyweight division just got interesting again.
The fact that he's re-entered the testing pool means he's not messing around, okay? What has changed? I don't think that in 2 weeks' time, all the fan backlash, because there's a lot of people that support him, I don't think it's people talking online that's going to influence him to come out of retirement in 2 weeks. I think maybe he went out to Thailand, he was enjoying himself, he got carried away with things, and maybe some people were in his ear. All that stuff going on, all the distractions, being out in Thailand, maybe partying, waking up hungover, and thought, you know what, I can't deal with a fucking fight camp. But he's come back. Maybe he's gotten the straight and narrow. He has been going a bit berserk on Twitter lately, but maybe he's come back, he's gotten the straight and narrow, he's got his shit together, he's thinking straight and clean, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, I've got a bunch of money coming in from this lawsuit, but I am leaving a lot of money on the table. And of course, maybe now, because Jon has got a new opponent.
Tom Aspinall was recently asked about his next fight, and he completely shut down any talk of it being Jon Jones. For him, that matchup isn't even on the table. In fact, he confirmed he already knows who he's fighting next, and while he couldn't reveal the name just yet, he described it as the toughest fight of his entire career. But he made it absolutely clear to the audience it is not Jon Jones. For Tom's first title defense, Ciryl Gane seemed like the most logical opponent. Gane is coming off a controversial win over Alexander Volkov. While some fans believe Volkov deserves the title shot more than Gane, it is important to mention that Aspinall already destroyed Volkov once, and there's just not much hype around running that one back. Gane is slick and dangerous and can give Aspinall real trouble, but it's hard to tell if Aspinall would go as far as calling him his toughest test yet. That's where things get interesting. Some fans have started speculating, what if he's hinting at Alex Pereira? But that idea seems unlikely right now, since Pereira has already said he's planning to fight Magomed Ankalaev in the fall. So if it's not Jon Jones, probably not Pereira, and not Volkov, who's left? Most likely it is Bongaman Ciryl Gane. However, Uncle Chael keeps insisting he has insider info from Alex Pereira's team that his next fight will be at heavyweight. Just when we thought the heavyweight saga was over, things are heating up again. Here's what Aspinall said about Jon Jones and his upcoming fight.
So if I'm scared to look like, if I'm looking at my next opponent, right, as I said, I can't say who it is, but if I'm looking at him and think, I'll just blast through this guy and then I'll have a legacy fight after that. Like that, I'm not going to be at my optimal performance if I'm just thinking, oh, I'm just going to blast through him. I never ever think like that. It doesn't matter if I'm number 1 in the world or number 100 in the world. Like, the guy I'm fighting next is the most dangerous guy that I'm ever going to have to fight. Like, I'm scared of that person. I need to train and make sure I'm in a place physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually that I'm going to go and give my 100% everything to that guy.
Daniel Cormier recently broke down a potential super fight between Kamaru Usman and Islam Makhachev. If Islam can get through Jack Della Maddalena and capture the welterweight title, DC pointed out that, stylistically, this matchup could actually turn into a striking war. It happens a lot when two high-level wrestlers face off, and with the skills both guys have developed on the feet, that could make for a high-level chess match with real knockout potential. This would be a massive fight, not just because Usman is a future Hall of Famer and one of the most most dominant champions in welterweight history. But because he's back, Usman's coming off a big win over rising star Joaquin Buckley, and he looked sharp, motivated, and refreshed. He's back on a win streak, and with his experience, toughness, and fight IQ, it's not crazy to think he could pose a serious threat to Islam, especially if Islam does manage to get past JDM, which is no guarantee. Jack Della is an absolute monster, and that fight alone is going to be a war. But if Islam pulls it off and becomes a 2-division champ, a matchup with Kamaru could be one of the biggest and most fascinating fights the UFC has ever booked. Styles, legacy, and high stakes. It would have everything.
Islam gets the job done. Now you got Kamaru and Islam.
Yeah.
How do you break that fight down? And how do you break them accordingly? I'm not saying giving or picking sides, but dude, they're two wrestlers, man, that have hands.
I think it's a great fight. And in most instances, whenever you have two guys that can wrestle, you end up seeing striking. Who's going to be better in that realm? Can Kamaru Usman use his size to really hit him with the jab, keep him at bay, and make him work in areas that he doesn't? Because what we do know about Islam is he's a much better striker than people give him credit for. Bro, he won all the rounds against Dustin Poirier in a fight that was pretty much all striking. He gets judged on a different curve than most, though, because he's been so dominant. Everybody's like, well, Dustin Poirier fought him so well, but he didn't. It was literally 5-0 and he got submitted.
Yeah.
So he gets a little bit like...
It's almost like Poirier got his licks, but he got dominated.
He got beat.
Cory Sandhagen has finally spoken up about how he believes Merab Dvalishvili can be beaten, and with their clash looking more and more likely, this breakdown is worth paying attention to. At this point, it's obvious that Cory is probably next for the Georgian champion, and he's one of the few elite bantamweights who hasn't already been run over by the machine. Merab has dominated nearly everyone he's faced, turning fights into cardio nightmares with relentless pressure, non-stop takedown attempts, and sheer willpower. Cory, on the other hand, brings a whole different problem. He's long, technical, dangerous, and he's got real knockout power. But even with all of that, beating Merab is easier said than done. The guy is a freak athlete. Most of the MMA world agrees he has the best cardio in the sport right now, maybe even the greatest gas tank in MMA history. He moves with the same intensity in round 5 as he does in round 1, and it never lets up. That's why Cory's approach is so interesting. He believes the key is to take control early and to be the one dictating the pace instead of reacting to Merab's chaos. If he can do that, stay mobile, and land hard shots while moving, he might be able to drag the champ into a different kind of fight, one that doesn't allow him to just spam takedowns and overwhelm.
I think a major key component to fighting Merab is going to be to make sure that I'm the one leading the dance. I'm making sure that I can mentally keep up with the pace that's going to be, and then also mentally keep up when I do get tired, because everyone gets tired in fights. So yeah, just making sure that my brain is good and that my brain can handle Merab for 25 minutes, I think is kind of the key, because technically and scary wise, he's a super phenomenal wrestler. You can't take that away from him. And obviously now is a submission threat too, but outside of that, he's not the most dangerous guy in the world. So just making sure that I'm ready for the takedowns and the submissions and staying focused and making sure that I'm leading the dance and not Merab.
That's it from MMA Psycho. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.